The goal of a mass casualty event is to make order out of chaos. It will start with chaos, and it will end in order. The question is how fast we can get order out of the chaos.
The four horsemen of the apocalypse, according to the Holy Bible. Revelation chapter 6. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, Come and see! And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. And when he opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, Come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beast of the earth.
This is the world you are graduating into. This is what I want to talk about today with you for a few minutes. To lead in shaping a new world order for the 21st century.
Happiness he turned like a train on a track. Coming towards her, stock still, no turning back. She hear around the corner and she hid under beds. She killed with kisses, then for honest she fled. With every bubble she sunk with her dream, and washed it way down the kitchen sink. The dark days are over, the dark days are done. The hard days are coming, so you better run.
What is the essence of a hero? Power, speed, grace. A horse embodies all of these qualities. That is why I train with horses. I must be stronger than the horse, faster than the horse, more beautiful than the horse. But it's not enough to merely train with horses. I must join it in the Jedi Ocean, where the Force will surround us, penetrate us, bind us. To become a hero, I must first become a horse. Jedi horse. From Burberry.
Run fast for your mother, run fast for your father. Run for your children, for your sisters and brother. Leave out in love and behind. You can't carry it with you if you want to survive. The dark days are over, the dark days are done. Can you hear the horses, and here they come?
the hottest part of the summer is called the dog days. The earliest reference to some aspect of this expression goes all the way back to the ancient Egyptians. They noted that the heliacal rising of the star Sirius heralded the hottest part of the summer. However, it isn't exactly known why the ancient Egyptians associated this star with a dog. The star's hieroglyph is a dog. Sirius would appear in Egypt after about a 70-day absence, just before the season where the Nile typically floods, so it is thought that the star's hieroglyphic symbol, being a dog, symbolized a watchdog. On the other hand, it's very possible that it was for the same reason the ancient Greeks and ancient Romans would also eventually associate this star with a dog, namely that it is the brightest star in what is now known as the Canis Major, Latin for greater dog or big dog constellation. This constellation simply looks a little bit like a dog, and Sirius is the brightest star in the constellation. So the star got named the Dog Star, and its heliacal rising marked the start of the hottest part of the year, which then became the dog days. The Roman expression for dog days was dies caniculares, Latin for dog days. The Greeks also had an expression that literally translated to dog days. They both believed that when Sirius rose around the same time as the sun, it contributed to that time of year becoming hotter. As such, they would often make sacrifices to Sirius, including sacrificing dogs to appease Sirius, with the hope that this would result in a mild summer and would protect their crops from scorching. Sirius A is the brightest star visible to the naked eye from the Earth, being almost twice as bright as Canopus. Sirius A and Sirius B combine to form a binary system and appear as one star to the naked eye, though the vast majority of luminosity to the naked eye comes from Sirius A, Sirius B being a white dwarf that is only around 30 astronomical units away from Sirius A. It is also theorized that there is a Sirius C, but to date this has not been proven. Sirius A and B and possibly C combine to form a bright point known as Sirius. If you're wondering, yes, Sirius Black in Harry Potter is thought to have been named after the white dwarf Sirius B. The relationship is further extended by the fact that the character Sirius Black was able to change into a dog.
I don't understand.
You can't go back to the house, Penny. Okay?
What's happening?
It's all right. You won't be alone. You have Bolt. I've altered him.
He can protect you now.
Bolt! Fetch!
Hold on, Penny! Hold on!
Bolt! Hello! Bolt! Hello!
Penny! Penny!
And I whoa, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm sorry. You want to sniff mine first?
What?
Not from around here, are you?
Hey, stop it. What? This is serious.
Hey there, are you lost, sweetie?
Hey, wait! Joey, Vinny, Bobby, my boys. Would you tell the crazy canine that he's got the wrong cat?
You got her, pal.
That's her.
She's the one.
That is definitely the right cat.
Looks like we're gonna do this the hard way.
Hey, you're crazy, man! Hey, you're crazy, man!
Styrofoam! That stuff, it weakens me!
Aha!
What are you doing? Put that down!
All right, that's it. I've had it with you. Untie me, Pooch. Or I'm gonna seriously wound you. I'm gonna seriously wound you with this styrofoam.
Are you mad? You don't know the power of styrofoam!
You untie me, Pooch. Or I'm gonna seriously wound you. I'm gonna seriously wound you with this styrofoam.
Are you mad? You don't know the power of styrofoam!
Sweet Sister Francis, what did you do to my new truck?
You hold on right there!
Oh, golly, Esther! Both you boys need serious help.
Spicy eyes!
Yeah, I say put mental health first, because if you don't, then you're not going to enjoy your sport and you're not going to succeed as much as you want to. So it's okay sometimes to even sit out the big competitions to focus on yourself, because it shows how strong of a competitor and person that you really are, rather than just battle through it.
Mental health issues affect people of all ages, income levels, and cultures. No one is immune. Advocate for and promote mental well-being in your life and to those around you. You're not alone. The more you know.
Similarities because there was a simulation before, 3 months before the anthrax attacks, in June 2001, similar to the event 201 in summer 2019, so just 3 months before the corona outbreak. The planners were nearly the same. There was the CIA, so the Central Intelligence Agency, was sitting at the desk. They're doing it openly. That's the trick. In both simulations, 2001 and 2019.
The same people?
Plus the same people. So Johns Hopkins University. Yeah.
We're involved in both.
Yeah, so we're sitting at the desk, and it was the same man, Thomas Ingleby.
Yes.
Was sitting in Dark Winter simulation.
And what was the Dark Winter?
Well, Dark Winter was the name of the simulation in 2001.
With a growing concern over the notion that chemical and biological weapons were unaccounted for and could potentially fall into the hands of terrorists, the Department of Defense wanted to test the nation's readiness for such an emergency. In June 2001, the DoD conducted a war game called Operation Dark Winter.
Dark Winter was a major exercise that was done prior to 9/11, earlier in 2001, to look at the effects of a biological terror event. And it was kind of a scary scenario. We would lose a lot of people if a really effective bioterror event occurred.
The simulation evaluated the government's ability to respond and communicate with the public, and the exercise even included mock news reports.
Since the diagnosis of 20 smallpox cases in Oklahoma City 12 days ago, hundreds have now died, thousands have become infected.
We had to, think about things like, quarantines and martial law, and things like that. All of a sudden, our system wasn't our system anymore because we had this terrible thing going on, and we had to change. We had to, change the way we thought about things. We had to change the way the military interrelated with the civilian world, and it was really an eye-opener.
And the conclusion were tens of millions of deaths, no commerce between states, no airplanes flying for 6 months, and war between Oklahoma and Texas.
Before this biothreat happened in reality.
Yes.
And very interestingly there is a man from Doug Winter, one of the planners, who had the connection to the Great Reset of today. We know what's going on now, the financial Great Reset of Klaus Schwab.
Klaus Schwab, yes.
The COVID-19 crisis has shown us that our old systems are not fit anymore for the 21st century. Now is the historical moment, the time, not only to fight severe virus, but to shape the system. We can build a new social contract. In short, we need a great reset.
Today, the world is confronting a public health emergency unlike any we've seen in over a century. We are facing a highly transmissible and deadly virus which not only claims lives, but also disrupts the very foundations of our society. The American healthcare system is being taxed to the limit. Our economy is spiraling downward, and our population is being paralyzed by fear, stemming from a lack of a coordinated response and a dearth of accurate, clear communication about the path forward. Our window of opportunity is closing. If we fail to improve our response now, based on science, I fear the pandemic will get worse and be prolonged. There will be likely a resurgence of COVID-19 this fall. It'll be greatly compounded by the challenges of seasonal influenza. Without better planning, 2020 could be the darkest winter in modern history. 2020 could be the darkest winter in modern history.
We have to mobilize all constituents of our global society to work together. We must not miss this unique window of opportunity.
And is there a direct connection between Doug Winter and Klaus Schwab? Yes. And his name is Mr. David Gergen. He was the planner of Doug Winter. He sat on the table with the Central Intelligence Agency, with the Johns Hopkins University, and now he's sitting at the board of the Klaus Schwab Foundation.
And the Klaus Schwab Foundation, of course, is behind or has a connection to this so-called Great Reset.
Yes, exactly. So Klaus Schwab wrote a book. The trick is to do it publicly. Wrote a book in English called COVID-19, The Great Reset. It's translated to German.
Yes.
Corona, Der große Umbruch. It's really the book to read, like in the 1920s.
I can. We will. Idol.
The new fragrance, Lancôme.
Now this is fake as fake gets.
West Texas.
I mean CGI garbage.
Dreams came true today, as he, brother Mark, Dutch teenager Oliver Damon, and
Oh, I gotta stop right there. Oliver Damon. You know, of course, that name.
82-year-old Wally Funk. Blue Origin's first passengers floated weightless 66 miles up.
66 miles up, we're getting that.
After 4 minutes, a dramatic parachute plunge to Earth. Their 10.5-minute trip coming to a soft landing in the desert sand.
And touchdown.
Definitely cover this a bit more as we move on. And the cowboy hat. Cowboys ride horses, of course. I know it's in Texas.
Years after founding Blue Origin as an all-purpose space company, Bezos and his fellow passengers earned their astronaut wings today.
There are a few people I know more deserving of this, Jeff.
For Wally Funk, who NASA never allowed to fly because of her gender. A celebration 60 years in the making.
And I want to thank you, sweetheart, because you made it possible for me. I've been waiting a long time to finally get it up there.
Now the oldest person to ever go to space, joined by the youngest, 8.
And this is, I'm going to stop right there. You need to stop right here. This is duality. You know, the old and the young, of course. This is just like, you know, the age of the earth. You know, biblically, it's a young earth. You know, according to science, it's old. That's another form of duality. So they love the duality aspect. And again, the surname of Demon or Damon, but it's really Demon. And again, just, you know, the duality aspect right in front of us. I'll get more into Oliver Damon as we continue.
18-year-old Oliver. Among the memorabilia on board, Amelia Earhart's aviator goggles.
You know, this is, you know, Amelia Earhart, when they mention her, of course, another staged event in our fabricated history.
Looking down at the Earth's atmosphere, says Bezos, makes climate change very real.
Pushing multiple agendas. I know I said I'll play the whole video through, but I couldn't help myself here. All, you know, there's no wasted motion with these, you know, with the media. Every little aspect is covered.
What you see is it's actually incredibly thin. It's this tiny little fragile thing.
I'm going to stop right there. This is enough as far as what I want to cover with this video clip. But again, very important. I know it's in Texas, but the cowboy hat, and the cowboy, of course, rides horses. As far as truth in plain sight, when the human race learns to read the language of symbolism, a great veil will fall from the eyes of men. And of course, all these individuals, you know, on the world stage, they recruit.
We're here to honor achievement in that category.
By giving you a golden idol to worship. Kneel before your God, Babylon!
So I want all the girls watching here and now to know that a new day is on the horizon.
I just can't wait until you start mixing genders with this stuff, right? Where you get like a male voice inside of a female body, or
Emma Watson, Beauty and the Beast! The first acting award in history that doesn't separate nominees based on their sex says something about how we perceive the human experience.
What they see as talented, people that have a huge following. Of course, if you have a huge following, you're going to have a huge influence. You're going to have what you say means a lot to the people that follow you. Of course, James Harden, basketball player in the NBA, Michael Jackson, they're all doing the same hand signs. Then, of course, they're all Masons on the world stage. Do not think for a second that this individual was on our side, or any of these people, of course. They're all, you know, on the same page. Some, of course, might know more than others, but again, they're all puppets, you know, useful idiots in many cases on the world stage.
Hi guys, I want to be really quick and precise on this one. So the Google Doodle that they're using today is of a guy called Omar Sharif. Omar Sharif is an actor who starred in Lawrence of Arabia. Lawrence of Arabia was a film which depicted Lawrence's experiences in the Arabian Peninsula during World War I, in particular his attacks on Aqaba and Damascus. The name Omar Sharif translates to eloquent speaker, a Muslim ruler, or religious leader. That could equate to the theory of the Antichrist coming out of Syria, or even to the Pope who sits in the Vatican, the head of the serpent. Omar Sharif also starred in the fall of the Roman Empire, connections to the fall of Babylon, or the modern day America. He also starred in Behold a Pale Horse, Revelation 6, verse 8. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth.
From the famed director of High Noon and From Here to Eternity, new peaks of suspense, behold a pale horse. Gregory Peck is Manuel Artiguez, guerrilla fighter, reckless defender of lost causes.
Answer my question. What is it you want?
I want you to kill Vignolas.
Vignolas is Anthony Quinn, the police chief dedicated to the capture of Manuel Artiguez.
Come in, number 2.
Come in, number 3.
Number 3, bakery truck on station.
Number 4, on station.
Omar Sharif, playing a role in sharp contrast to his portrayal of the arrogant sheik in Lawrence of Arabia.
I must speak to Senor Artiguez. It's very urgent. His life depends on it.
What then? Israel hath not attained that which he seeketh for, but the election hath attained it, and the rest were blinded. According as it is written, God hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear, unto this day. So I think it's really easy to overlook the fact that the scripture says that there is a spirit of slumber. The definition of slumber, the third definition on blueletterbible.com, is insensibility or torpor of mind, such as extreme grief easily produces. Hence a spirit of stupor, which renders their soul torpid, so insensible that they are not affected at all by the offer made them of salvation through the Messiah. So they have become so insensitive that, or not even insensitive, but so out of their mind that they are not affected by the message of salvation. The gospel can't even get through to them. In 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 3 through 4, but if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them. So this is saying the same thing that Romans 11:8 says, and it backs up the definition of slumber as we just read. And so in 2 Corinthians 4 verses 3 through 4, it says that it was the God of this world who had blinded the minds of them which believe not, to prevent the light of the gospel from reaching them.
This is a continuation of my last video and the importance of signs and symbols, as we see here with what I call the crown. And that gets back to what I showed in my last video presentation, the quote from Manly P. Hall: when the human race learns to read the language of symbolism, a great veil will fall from the eyes of men. And definitely, this is the key aspect to learning about what is really taking place in this world. Again, this world full of nothing but lies and deception. And that again gets back to what's going down now. And the crown symbolism, a huge aspect to what is taking place today. And again, the crown, the wreath, symbolism all over the place, going back to Roswell and Stanton Friedman, as I showed again in my previous video. As you see here, Stanton Friedman with the globe in the back. And again, the book, Crash at the Crown, like I call it. And that gets into this movie that was released back in 2013, which has really fallen under the radar with the importance of a lot of symbolism. And let's get right to it with this scene here, where Seth Rogen, the actor, supposedly the director, we know there's people behind the scenes behind all of this. And these people are just, they're giving credit for producing, directing these movies, when again, there's people definitely behind the scenes behind all of this. And before even moving forward into the symbolism of the crown, I want to show this with the actor going inside the fridge to get a drink. And when he pulls it out, of course, Just take a look at the color orange. Again, all about symbolism. And the number 33 when it comes to Freemasonry. But more importantly, again, this movie really flying under the radar when it comes to symbolism. And there you go right here. And this one scene in the convenience store before the rapture takes place with this scene in the movie. Let's move it forward. And right when they show the crown symbolism, take a look at what takes place. And this is, again, the rapture scene from the movie. And take a look at what happens. All these people get raptured up. They get pulled up into the air, into the sky, being raptured away. And that gets into the whole topic of, again, what I covered earlier in my previous video, with the whole idea of the alien agenda that's being pushed, this false agenda, which we all know, Project Bluebeam, and the whole idea, again, of the rapture. And this is the reasoning behind this, to conceal what's really happening with these people being taken away, being raptured away. Society's going to be told they've been taken away by aliens, when in reality they've been raptured. So that's a concept as far as this movie is concerned, again, with the rapture and the whole alien agenda. They're going to, as always, give false meanings, false reasonings for things. And definitely, again, getting back to the whole idea of the crown itself. This video is really going to be about symbolism, as always, towards the end times. And I showed this before in a live stream with Billy Idol in San Francisco during this concert. And you see the lightning bolt, which represents Satan, as you see here, Marilyn Manson. And the same exact lightning bolt, where it states in Luke chapter 10, verse 18 in the Bible, where Jesus beheld Satan falling from heaven as lightning. And what do? They put the crown on Satan, the representation of Satan, the lightning bolt. So definitely the symbolism is there. And of course the one-eyed symbolism with Marilyn Manson. And as I showed before as well, the ending of this one VHS tape for Billy Idol. At the very end, it says management. You can see here in the credits, it's D-Man Entertainment with the orange background. So definitely you know who Billy Idol, the Billy Goat, is working for. And again, it comes down to the devil is 33, just like orange. So again, everything is coordinated. Everything is, there's definitely a reason behind all these concepts. And that gets into this from a Masonic encyclopedia, the ancient practice of Masons conversing without the use of speech. So again, they're telling you without speaking with signs and symbols, definitely. And so very important to understand this concept. And let's take a look here at this one presentation with all the concept, the compass rose and the 33, the rose cross, like Jesus Christ rose from the dead. Golgotha, the place of the skull. As you can see here, symbolism is so very important, of course, to Freemasonry, as I demonstrated many times with Crowley. And you see the sign for Baphomet. Let's get a little bit of a closer look. As you can see here, the multi-crosses. The Baphomet is, of course, on the hat of the Grand Sovereign Commanders, as I showed many times. George Washington being the very first U.S. president. He's listed first as a Freemason and first president in that order, of course, with Freemasonry being in the order of importance. And as I mentioned many times, with the G for 33, with the square and the compass, with Freemasonry, when it comes to the alphabet, of course, A through Z is 1 through 26. The G is a 7, Also, when you flip over the alphabet, you land on G again. It is a 33. So definitely all by design. And getting back to more imagery here with this Grand Sovereign Commander, of course, with the same sign as Baphomet. As I should point out, the Masonic goat god, as you see the as above, so below. But again, all about symbols here. You have, of course, the crown, which this video is all about, the dual-headed eagle, and of course, the all-seeing eye within the pyramid. And a very important aspect to point out with the pyramid itself is the angles within. It's 60 degrees within each angle. So in numerology, the way they work is the zeros mean nothing. So you have your 6, 6, and 6, 4, 6, 6, 6 within the pyramid itself. Again, with the all-seeing eye. So definitely every single aspect, there is a reason. And again, getting back to the whole idea of Baphomet, the as above, so below, this is biblical, where Jesus separated the sheep from the goats.
So going back to that definition of stupor again, or slumber again, it says that their souls have been so insensible that they are not affected by the offer of salvation. So I believe it is very reasonable to say that this spirit of slumber is the god of the world that hath blinded the minds of them which believe not. In Isaiah chapter 29 verse 9 through 10, we read, "Stay yourselves and wonder, cry ye out and cry. They are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. For the Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and hath closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers, the seers, hath he covered." So God poured upon them the spirit of deep sleep, and their eyes are closed, they are blind.
As mentioned in Matthew 25, the sheep up and the goats down. So this represents heaven and hell. And again, getting back to more symbolism. And you see here, moving on here with, as you can see, Nelson Mandela with Morgan Freeman. And getting a little bit of close-up of Nelson Mandela. And the symbol with the ribbon. This is so very important when it comes to Freemasonry. Again, with symbols. He's wearing the coded 33 with ribbon being 33. So they're very clever in the way they operate. And of course, Morgan Freeman wearing the black and white tuxedo. Again, all about signs and symbols. And we should get back here to a very important aspect of the world deception. And that's shaping and forming the minds of the youth. As I showed earlier, as you see in the right-hand corner with these graduate students, again, getting back to the ancient practice of Masons conversing without the use of speech. And these students have no idea the whole concept of the mortar board that they wear and how ridiculous they look wearing these stupid-looking graduation hats. And again, it comes back to Freemasonry, the bricklayers of society. Education is not about education, it's about indoctrination. As you can see here, this depiction of the Bricklayer College graduation, shaping and forming the minds of the youth. And as you can see here, the mortar board being put to use. Again, shaping and forming society when it comes down to it. Look at all these indoctrinated students that have no clue of what's taking place. And this is a very sad reality. Generation after generation being basically brainwashed into the lie system. And you just look at the youth of today, and now they're wearing these face coverings, and it's just really sad to see this. And again, these students have no idea, again, how ridiculous they look, not only with the mortarboard hat, but also the face covering. And that gets into the so-called enlightened ones, like you see here with Bill Cosby. He's not wearing that flat mortarboard hat. It's only intended for the indoctrinated, not for the enlightened ones. It's considered an insult to wear, again, these ridiculous looking hats. And just more images, photos of Bill Cosby, as you can see here during this one presentation at a college, again wearing the standard baseball type of cap. And you see him here with the cap with the tassels. all about Freemasonry. Of course, when you graduate, you get your degree. Just like in Freemasonry, the multiple or the many degrees of Freemasonry. And of course, Bill Cosby being one of the so-called enlightened ones with the all-seeing eye or the one-eyed symbolism. This is when he's quite young. And this is another one where he's a bit younger as well. But one thing people might say, what about all the controversy surrounding Bill Cosby that's been in the spotlight over the years? It's nothing but nonsense. It's world stage theater. And you can see him smiling, laughing. And even with his attorneys, they're all laughing. And this is their way of communicating, again, without speaking, as I showed earlier. They're not going to tell you with words. It's a bunch of nonsense. But they'll tell you again without speech, without speaking. And it's very, very clear and very, very obvious. And getting back to Bill Cosby not wearing those ridiculous graduation caps, just like other celebrities. You see here, these three here, Ellen DeGeneres, Oprah Winfrey, Will Ferrell, and also Tom Hanks at Yale. And they wear the baseball cap. Or Steve Jobs' case, you just don't wear a hat at all. You don't wear that ridiculous cap. It's, again, only meant for the unenlightened, the indoctrinated students to wear.
So they can't receive the message of the gospel. Drunken, the definition of drunken, to be or to become drunk or drunken, be intoxicated. Shakar, that's the Hebrew word, a primitive root, to become tipsy in a qualified sense, to satiate or with drinking with a stimulating drink, or figuratively influence, to be filled with, drink abundantly. So,
now talking about Tom Hanks and getting back to the crown symbolism, as you can see here, and this is a photo from Twitter that he posted while he's in Australia. And take a look at this typewriter and what it says here. Basically, the dual crowns on the typewriter, as you can see. And of course, what it says here is 33 numerology. What a major surprise that is. And of course, when you have it posted twice, that's the duality, that's the dual 33s, as I show many times with Luther Smith, the Grand Sovereign Commander. Also with Madonna, and also a typewriter with the crown symbolism for all to see. And of course, this concert from back in 2019 with Madonna and the face coverings being worn. Okay, what does this remind you of? Which I'll show in a moment. And that gets to Denver, Colorado, which we all have seen the murals at the airport. And I'll get to a little bit more on this later on. But these are basically identical type of masks that you see here. And let's get back to the image again with Madonna. And literally the same kind of mask that you see being worn.
So we're going to talk nighttime skincare routine. And at night, I usually like to start off with the Total Cleanser.
Robin Rihanna Fenty is reportedly a self-made billionaire. Forbes estimates the mogul is worth $1.7 billion, making her the world's wealthiest musician who is a woman.
I'm looking at deep sleep now. Lethargy, the Hebrew word is tardema, and that the meaning of that is lethargy or a trance or deep sleep. This essentially the same as slumber. And this is now being connected to being drunken. So the spirit of deep sleep is connected to being blinded, and is connected to being drunken. In Jeremiah 51 verse 7, Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. So now we know that it is, when we read in the scripture that God hath poured out the spirit of deep sleep, we know that He is the one who is still in charge of Babylon, or He is the one who still has power over Babylon. Babylon may be, in my opinion, the god of this world, and I believe this is a spirit that we're dealing with, the spirit of whoredoms, but it is still God who is in control. In Isaiah chapter 47 verse 1 through 5, or verse 1 and 5, we read, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Sit thou silent, and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called the lady of kingdoms." And it is.
And before all this crown, like I said, I'll call it the crown nonsense first started, literally, it goes back to Kobe, and where he was supposedly his final resting place with his daughter. And you can see I'll just call it the Crown Del Mar. And here you see, I'll just call him GF for short. And definitely with these, of course, staged photos, all the symbolism in plain sight with the dual crown beers. They love that mirror reflection, the red and yellow walls. And I should mention as well, when it comes to this beer, it just so happens to be, let me get a close-up. You can see it's 33 centiliters. Unbelievable how all this comes into play, but that's not the only thing. The color of the logo itself, the design of this beer, it's golden blue. And the golden blue just so happens to be 33 as well. It's really unbelievable. You have 3 33s basically for your 666 when it comes to the crown. Again, being 33. The color code itself, like I just mentioned. And of course, the weight. The volume inside the actual drink itself is 33. So it's really unbelievable how far they go with these concepts. And again, it's going to go over society's head. The majority, the masses, they have no idea what's taking place whatsoever. And that gets into this quote by Noam Chomsky, which I showed many times over the years. The general population doesn't know what's happening, and it doesn't even know that it doesn't know.
It's very interesting to me that the Virgin Mary is called the Lady of all nations. And another meaning of nations is kingdom. And kingdoms can be interchangeable with nations. In Isaiah chapter 51 verses 17 and 21, "Awake, awake, stand up, O Jerusalem, which hast drunk at the hand of the Lord the cup of his fury. Thou hast drunken the dregs of the cup of trembling, and wrung them out. Therefore hear now this, thou afflicted and drunken, but not with wine." So these people of Jerusalem were drunken, but it wasn't wine that made them drunk. They were drunken with that spirit of slumber. Now we're going to Revelation chapter 16 verse 19. "And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. And great Babylon came in remembrance before God, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath." In Revelation chapter 12 verse 9, "And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." So we know that in Revelation 12, it tells us that the dragon is the one who had deceived the whole world. In Revelation chapter 17, verse 1 through 2, we read, "And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication." So the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk by Babylon. In Revelation chapter 18, verse 7 and verse 23 through 24, "And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone, and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived, and in her was found the blood of prophets, and of saints, and of all that were slain upon the earth."
And this one as well from Noam Chomsky. The world is a very puzzling place. If you're not willing to be puzzled, you just become a replica of someone else's mind. And what it comes down to is the elite know, even though when they leak this truth out there with their puppets like Noam Chomsky, definitely no hero, but the masses have been so far down a path of lies, so powerfully indoctrinated into the lie system at a very young age. Once you're successfully indoctrinated into the lie system, when truth is introduced, it will be rejected. That's how strong the programming is. And that, again, gets back to how they reveal the truth as a form of mockery. And, again, the public will not get it. They'll not understand this. Now, getting back to this one photo, this so-called iconic photo of GF, and I did mention the red and yellow as well. A very, very important key aspect, again, is the sign symbols, dates, numbers, and colors, like I mentioned many times, when it comes to, again, the red and yellow. Just like you see here on the MasterCard, you have the red and yellow, and it makes orange. And the color coding is so prevalent in society, as you can see here with these companies, and the hammer and sickle with the Soviet Union, Russia, as you can see as well, Pizza Hut. But one thing I find interesting is McDonald's, the NWO's #1 fast food restaurant of choice. And the MM, as you can see here. Basically, here, dual 33s in plain sight when you turn it sideways. So again, we live in this world just like the movie They Live, with the billboards. And of course, that will be towards the end where people can see that as far as our reality, where people see McDonald's, but they don't see the dual 33s in plain sight. One thing I want to point out as well when it comes to JF and the whole crown symbolism, and that's getting into the nonsense that's taking place today, where he supposedly, of course, contracted this nonsense here, and that gets involved with the other characters on the world stage. As you can see here, the supposed hero cop in Seattle, when he turns his back, and this was all over the mainstream media as well, as he shows his back. And what do you see? The crown in California, in the checkmate or checkmate in the black and white symbolism. And of course, as I've shown before, the Freemasonic symbolism, as you can see here with the 33. And he goes by G. Anderson 33. Just an amazing coincidence, I'm sure, to the coincidence theorists. Now, a huge aspect when it comes to programming, of course, is the movie industry, Hollywood. And you can see here from this 1987 movie called Full Metal Jacket, where I show, again, Luther Smith, this Grand Sovereign Commander, and all in plain sight with this one scene, you see the dual 33s and the eagle of Freemasonry all in plain sight.
Now we read here that it was Babylon who had deceived all nations, just like it was the dragon who had deceived the whole world. In Revelation chapter 19, verse 1 through 2, "And after these things I heard a great voice of much people in heaven saying, Alleluia, salvation and glory and honor and power unto the Lord our God. For true and righteous are his judgments. For he hath judged the great whore, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and hath avenged the blood of his servants at her hand. Now to wrap this up, I will read in Revelation chapter 20, first in verse 1 through 3, to show the connection with the serpent and the dragon and Babylon, and that these are all the same force that is deceiving the whole world. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit, and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. And in verse 7 through 10, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and compassed the camp of the saints about, in the beloved city. And fire came down from God out of heaven, and devoured them. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. And just like the scripture said earlier, her smoke rose up forever and ever.
So you'll understand when you watch a movie such as Captain America, and you have this one screenshot here in this one movie, and there's so much symbolism taking place that will again go over the 99.9%'s head. They will not see what's right in front of them when it comes to revelation, the method, or predictive programming with this movie. And just getting a little bit of a close-up, as you can see here, the crown symbolism. Okay, and you see the stadium with empty seats, all in plain sight. And it's Broadway. This world's nothing but a stage, so this is very appropriate that you see Broadway all in plain sight. You look a little bit lower, and you see what I'll call the face covering. Again, all in plain sight. All the symbolism is all there for all to see. And a little bit to the right, a little bit of a close-up to the right, is you see the McDonald's, and again, the MM for 33. The umbrella symbolism. They love the umbrella symbolism, as I covered years ago in the Rihanna music video, Umbrella, featuring Jay-Z. And as you can see, this performance with all the umbrellas. And as I broke down the video, all the symbolism with Baphomet in the water splash coming towards the camera. But again, the umbrella itself, going back to ancient Buddhism, and you see the umbrella symbolism. And I just look at it as some type of protection with these occultists. And again, they carry on the tradition in plain sight with their false god, Buddha. Again, all in plain sight with their symbolism. But every little aspect, there's reasons, of course. And there's absolutely more in here if people want to dig a bit more. But definitely the major ones I am pointing out. And that gets into the whole scene once again with Captain America. And this time a little bit left. Gotta zoom in, you gotta look in the background to see more. The more you dig, the more you find. And definitely the crown. And I'll just get a little bit of a close-up. You see again the crown symbolism. And you can see where it says George. And this has been pointed out before. So again, always the hidden in plain sight. They love to have their Easter eggs all in plain sight. And that gets back to another Easter egg when it comes to the crown with this Michael Douglas movie called Falling Down in the Korean convenience store. And you see the dual crown signs, the dual 33 in plain sight.
And so some may be confused about how I connect Babylon with the serpent. I hope that helps to clear some of it up. And as for why Satan and devil and serpent and dragon are all called by masculine pronouns such as he and him, well, that is because in Hebrew and in Greek there is a such thing as grammatical gender, and in grammatical gender if the word is a noun is masculine, such as Satan or adversary or serpent are masculine nouns, then the pronoun that follows must also be masculine in order for it to be translated correctly. So unless you're given a detail of the entity's gender or sex, you would not be able to tell just by going off of the gender of the pronouns. You wouldn't be able to tell just by that alone. But anyway, with that said, I believe hopefully that this will have been effective in helping people to see the connection between the spirit of slumber and Babylon the Great.
And Michael just happens to be 833 name as well. Just a little bit of a close-up. And I want to get into more symbolism when it comes down to it with all we've seen in recent history with the horse or the white horse symbolism. And before continuing on with this horseman bus, the Royal Berkshire bus in the UK. And I've covered this in the past. When you look at the license plate, again, the coded license plates. Always look at the license plates when it comes to these news stories. Very often they're coded. And you have here YX68UAW. And what do you have here? Your 33, of course.
I propose that we end the world, but on our terms. An orchestrated apocalypse. One that will cleanse the earth of its population but leave its infrastructure and resources intact. It's been done once before, with great success. And when it's over, we will emerge onto a cleansed earth, one that we can then reboot in our image.
And just how do you intend to achieve this?
The means of our salvation are already at hand. I give to you the T-virus.
Hello, folks. Well, something different today. We're going to go back and look at a new, reasonably new commercial in the last year for this Idol perfume with the Disney star in it. I think it's important to look at this to expose again that the Gnostic agenda, which has been going on since the times of the New Testament, the Gnosticism that was first combated by the church. We've got this false spirituality being promoted here in this French TV commercial for this perfume called Idol. Idol. The definition for idol on Google here is an image or representation of a god used as an object of worship. So let's watch this commercial first, and then I'll show you what's going on. So much in just this very short commercial.
I can. We will. Idol.
The new fragrance, Lancôme.
So this commercial starts out as she's walking, the horse is walking along the road here towards a city, and if you notice, it's a white horse, and on the back of it we have the goddess figure. Now this is goddess Aphrodite, but of course in the Bible the woman can represent either the faithful church, as in the good symbolism of the woman, or it can represent the whore, the prostitute, which is the unfaithful church, which is a counterfeit spirituality. And we're dealing with Gnostic symbolism here. So this is representing that false spirituality and it's the goddess Aphrodite or Ishtar. But this is actually Roman symbolism, because we've got the white horse and she's riding along this highway on the white horse. Now, what does this riding on the white horse towards a city represent? Now, to understand this more, we have to look at the Via Sacra. The Via Sacra in Roman era. This is a quote from Spurgeon. The Roman conqueror, when he enjoyed a triumph on returning from a campaign, rode up the Via Sacra on a white horse. Now, here are some images of the Via Sacra. And you'll notice that there's some symbolism which is very similar with this Via Sacra to this commercial. If we wind forward a little bit, you'll see it's a huge highway she's riding down, and you'll notice here you see these columns. It's very similar to the symbolism we see in the Via Sacra in Rome. Now, as Spurgeon said, that's something that the Roman conqueror would ride down in triumph down the Via Sacra on a white horse. So that is essentially what we're seeing here. So let's continue with the commercial. And you'll notice that the lyrics of the song are actually very in keeping with this. I put my armour on. She gets to a crossroads and she doesn't know which way to go once she's in the city. And you notice that the sun, as you'll see here, there's a streak of light. And she looks across and she sees where the sun is coming from. So she's heading towards that sun, the false light. I'm unstoppable, says the lyrics of the song. You see, she goes to the archway, a very Roman-esque symbolism. Now, to understand this further, we have to also look into the book of Revelation, where it uses this idiom, which was very commonly known at the time. So if we look here in Revelation chapter 6, verse 1 to 2, the first seal, rider on a white horse. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals and heard, as it were, the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, "Come and see." And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. So that idiom there of conquering and to conquer on the white horse, relating to the symbolism in the time it was written, we can see that that was very well known as to what that actually meant. And so the Gnostics here are using that very same symbolism in this woman riding on the white horse through the city. And just as a very subtle little hint there in the background, you can see there's a one-way sign, and she is going the opposite way in rebellion to the way she should be going. And this is representing, again, the rebellious woman. And as the Bible says, rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. I'm invincible. I'm unstoppable today. So this is her right. If you see that she's actually going uphill, she's following the light, the Luciferianism, the Enlightenment. And she reaches the peak of the mountain, and you see there the sunset over the city, which it could be quite ominous in the sense that it represents the beginning of the night coming. And the night in the Bible represents the tribulation. So that's what this is essentially representing here. And you see the Jesuit symbolism of the Pegasus with the sun. And she's in that conquering position, the goddess. And she's holding that glass up, and she's allowing the sun rays to shine and reflect and refract through what she's holding up, kind of like the light bearer in the position that she's in. You see there? This is what she's doing. Ishtar holding up the light. Because as she holds it up, the sunlight comes through and refracts through the glass. You see all over the city, there's lights lighting up all over, like 1,000 points of light. And of course, if you remember from a while back, the symbolism for the sun is actually Zera, which is the seed. So the sun represents the seed, year 0. Which is unstoppable today.
I can. We will.
I can, we will.
Idol.
Idol. The idol. The goddess held up as for worship. The counterfeit spirituality, the false church. The Luciferian enlightenment, the new age. Coming as a conqueror and to conquer.
Fragrance, Lancôme.
And there it is, folks. So just to show you that this symbolism is still rife through the media, we can still see the Gnosticism, the counterfeit spirituality being proposed as the way for a future new age, the new dawn of Antichrist. The Antichrist religion riding on the back of the beast. Just like that symbolism we've seen time and time again. We know here that this is the counterfeit.
From the fading light I fly, rise like a phoenix, out of the ashes seeking rather than vengeance. Retribution you were won, once I'm transformed, once I'm reborn.
Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is pledging allegiance to the drag as one of the guest judges on the upcoming 12th season of RuPaul's Drag Race. The freshman congresswoman, who's a longtime fan of the show, shared a promo touting her guest gig and wrote that sitting on the judging panel for the competition, in which 13 drag queens vie for the title of America's Drag Superstar, was absolutely 100% a peak experience. A longer clip previews the contestants taking part in a politically themed challenge. Ocasio-Cortez has a moment in her episode in which she tells an emotional contestant that she's so grateful that you're part of our country. To another drag queen, she says, "I think you are fabulous."
They make our film what it is. They are the foundation with which we rested the story. We put the story on top of the drag queens, and the film worked.
But I'm going to let you decide as we do a little bit close up here, and you tell me if that looks like a feminine face. Ignore the long hair. Remember, the priest of Ishtar wore long hair, they castrated themselves, wore robes like women, and wore these headdresses.
This whole mess of photos, I just don't see any real women here, I don't know what women think about this whole thing, but I guess they want to be sexy like these models, right? And some of them want to be these models. Well, guess what? If you're a real, natural-born female, you will never be a Victoria's Secret model. You will not look like this. It's impossible. I just imagine that many women must have low self-esteem because they compare themselves, their perfect female body, to these freaky Illuminati tranny bodies, and they think, wow, these women on Victoria's Secret, I'm never going to look like that. I'm fat, I'm whatever. It's severe psychological and emotional damage is being done by these people by not coming out of the closet.
My people ask counsel at their stocks, and their staff declareth unto them. For the spirit of whoredoms hath caused them to err, and they have gone a whoring from under their God. the church in Thyatira write, These things saith the Son of God, who hath his eyes like unto a flame of fire, and his feet are like fine brass. I know thy works, and charity, and service, and faith, and thy patience, and thy works. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce my servants to commit fornication, and to eat things sacrificed unto idols.
The woman conquering, overcoming the male patriarchy, and the feminist propaganda in general. Now, there's a reason for this, because the demiurge in Gnosticism is a heavenly being subordinate to the supreme being that is considered to be the controller of the material world and antagonistic to all that is purely spiritual. So the demiurge is a being responsible for the creation of the universe. So you could essentially say that Yahweh is represented as that demiurge, that male figure. So when you go a bit further with this symbolism, you can see that it is the goddess rising, you could say Sophia in Gnosticism, which represents wisdom, rising above the demiurge, which is Yahweh. And it's the same lie as from the beginning, that God is this oppressive tyrant that is keeping you all imprisoned. Remember what happened in the Garden of Eden, for example, with Satan and the lie to Eve, that you could break free from this, basically from this tyrant that is keeping you oppressed. Remember, it's Satan versus Lucifer. That's what we said before about how it's like this black and false light. So you've got this Hegelian dialect battle between them both.
This is really the one game, and you better be ready for it. No pun intended.
You can't play God without being acquainted with the devil. The problem, Bernard, is that what you and I do is so complicated. We practice witchcraft. We speak the right words, and we create life itself out of chaos.
Are you ready for Are you ready for it?
And we create life itself out of chaos.
And in her was found the blood of prophets, and of saints, and of all that were slain upon the earth. And And after these things, I heard a great voice of much people in heaven saying, Hallelujah! Salvation and glory and honor and power unto the Lord our God. For true and righteous are his judgments. For he hath judged the great whore, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and hath avenged the blood of his servants at her hand.
Oh, you blew my cover. You're that kind of lover. That kind of lover. Whoa, you did me under. This heart has seen better days. You got my number. Yeah, there's no change in my ways. Over and over, you're on your own.
I think you're all going to be literally blown away as we unleash this technology.
With the arsenal of the world's leading technology at my fingertips, I now have the ability to invent the uninventable.
Well, Lady Gaga's certainly doing her bit to promote the transhumanist new age of Antichrist.
I have the potential to imagine the unimaginable. Think the unthinkable. See the unseeable. With the arsenal of the world's leading technology at my fingertips, I now have the ability to invent the uninventable. Rebranding into its future, Intel has enlisted House of Gaga to collaborate on a project that will showcase technology through creativity at the highest level. Our partnership will culminate in a performance that inspires to remind the world of the seed of innovation, the wizard behind the curtain, the mind behind the machine. Intel. Gaga.
And this comes down to the Bible when it comes to the white horse symbolism. And that gets back to the crown. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went forth conquering. This is from Revelation 6:2. So again, all this stuff we see coded in plain sight with these news stories. Definitely there's a reason. And even going back in time with the white Bronco, with AC and both OJ owning a white Bronco each. So definitely, it's all in plain sight with their symbolism, with their news stories, and the 33 front and back of the license plate. And of course, with Barack Obama in Denver, Colorado, during the speech, and you see the white horse in plain sight. So, again, the symbolism is always there. And in conjunction, of course, with the crown is the white horse. And again, of course, it gets back to this Bible verse. The crown, the white horse symbolism. And again, getting back to Denver, and this is what I showed earlier with the dove, which represents peace. Obviously, you see the end result with this dove. And you see the covering and just more symbolism. As you can see this monument again in the Denver airport. And you see the Masonic Square and Compass, of course. Denver International Airport. Get a little bit of a close-up. And you see New World Airport Commission. And again, all the symbolism in plain sight. Like I mentioned throughout this video, the whole idea, the whole concept, as the Bible verse, Revelation 6:2, with the white horse and the crown symbolism. So,
and when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And his name that sat on him was Death. and hell followed with him.
The final mission to save mankind has failed. The 70-mile-wide asteroid known as Matilda is set to collide with Earth in exactly 3 weeks' time, and we'll be bringing you our countdown to the end of days, along with all your classic rock favorites.
Feel free to wear your casual Friday clothing pretty much any day of the week. And if anyone wants to be CFO. Anyone?
So, what are you doing with the rest of your life?
Catching up on some me time, find God.
Bless your name. You're so good to me every day, Lord. See Jesus in the morning, see Jesus in the noonday hour, see Jesus in the evening before the sun is going down. He said, "Night, and it shall be given to you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door will be open to you, and he will come on in and sup with you a while." Everybody ought to seek Jesus in the morning. Seek Jesus in the noonday hour. Seek Jesus in the evening before the sun is going down. He said, "Night, and it shall be given to you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door will be open to you, and he will come on in and sup with you a while." Hallelujah. Listen here. Call upon the name of the Lord and pray to him. If you seek him, you will find him. When you seek him with all your heart. Those who know the name of the Lord, they will surely trust in him. For the Lord never will forsake the one who is honestly, oh Lord, and seeking him. Everybody ought to seek Jesus in the morning. Seek Jesus in the noonday hour. Seek
If you seek him, he'll come in. If you seek him, he'll come in. Bless your name, Jesus. Bless your name, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord.